Can we have the sound? Yes. The title of our next talk is, Can Our Ocean's Greatest Threat Be Humanity's Richest Opportunity? The next talk is by David Katz. He's the founder and CEO of the Plastic Bank, which is an internationally recognized solution to ocean plastic. David is steward of the earth and a champion of the poor, and he's a good friend and a fellow EO member. Please welcome David Katz.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Hello, everybody. Hi. I'm a friendly Canadian. I always want to start off with a beautiful hello. I as well will have some questions at the end. I'm going to talk about a passion project of mine, something profoundly important for the world. And I don't think it's unreasonable thinking in what I'm doing. I think it's unreasonable to not do what I'm doing. This year has been a remarkable journey. I'll get you caught up a little bit on where we've become. The United Nations recognized, introduced by Jane Goodall at the last climate conference, as being a beacon of hope for humanity. This May will be in National Geographic. We've been in award-winning documentaries, featured globally as an opportunity for humanity. I want to chat about that. I want to chat about this being a business solution to climate. And what we're facing today is perhaps the greatest climate challenge ever known. And I start off with a question. Who else here truly believes, with their hands up, that the last thing we should do is clean the ocean? Anyone else? Well, I argue that it is the very last thing we should do. There is a catastrophe unfolding in front of us. There is more than a garbage truck of plastic entering the ocean every minute of every hour, of every day, of every week, of every month, of every year. And that has been continuing for decades and will continue for decades in the future. We are experiencing the fastest rate of extinction ever. Plastic is in the food chain. And I'm still here telling you that the very last thing we should be doing is cleaning the ocean. Truly, the very last. No different than walking into your kitchen with the sink overflowing, water spilling all over the floor, seeping into the walls and into the foundation of your home. And you will probably panic as well, and you'll have to choose bucket, mop, plunger. What do you do first? Well, how about we turn off the tap first? It would be pointless to mop or scoop or plunge the water if we don't turn the tap off first. Why aren't we doing the same for the ocean? Even if the plastic cleanup project, all of the well-meaning beach cleanup programs, and all of the ocean plastic recycling businesses available today were 100% effective, it would be too little, too late. We're trending to produce over 300 million tons of plastic this year as a species. Well over 300 million tons. That number continues to increase. Plastic production is almost exponential. Every couple of years, it doubles. Now, roughly this year, 8 million tons estimated are going to rush into the ocean to meet the 150 million ton already there. And most plastic that is entering the ocean is coming from areas of extreme poverty, over 80%. And if you live in the grips of poverty, always thinking about food or shelter, preventable sickness in your children, struggling to survive, recycling truly is beyond your realm of imagination. Now, it's exactly those conditions and exactly that reason that I created the Plastic Bank. We're an ecosystem that reveals value in waste. We are the world's largest chain of stores for the ultra poor, where everything in the store is available to be purchased using plastic garbage. School tuition, medical insurance, Wi-Fi, cell phone minutes, sustainable cooking fuel, high-efficiency stoves, milk powder, fuel. And we continue to want to add everything else that the world's poor need and can't afford. This is just an example of one of our locations in Haiti. One of our collectors, Miss Lisa Nassis, very proud of her. See, our centers are more like a community center, where we get to know individuals, where we get to see people. We experience them. We see value in society. Or Lisa, she can earn a living. She can collect plastic from going door to door or from business to business or through the streets. And she collects a volume of material. At the end of the day, we have the gift of her bringing the material back to us, where the material is weighed, it's checked for quality, and a value is transferred into an online savings account for her. And because it's transferred online, she now has an asset that she can borrow against. She has a savings account. And because she has a savings account, she doesn't have to carry the cash, which keeps her secure from robbery. And because she has a savings account, Ms. Nassis now has an increased sense of worth, and the plastic itself even has an increased sense of value. And it's no different than walking over acres of diamonds. If you were to walk over acres of diamonds or bars of gold, diamonds, rubies, gold shining below you, but you had no bank that you could take the gold to, no store that you could spend the diamonds at, no one would exchange anything with you, the diamonds would sit on the ground as rocks, worthless. No different than that. Now that plastic, we add value to. As it comes into our store chain, we then process that at a local recycler, where we flake the material or bale it and get it ready for export as a raw material. And that model is completely replicatable. I gave you one idea of how we do it. Giant chain of stores for the poor. That's one way. Now, one other process is like within Vancouver. With a banking application, any individual or any group can take their deposit refundable recyclables. Now, you don't have that here, but in many parts of the world, and what is becoming more and more popular around the world, is a bottle deposit program, where we pay for that bottle in advance, and then when you return it, you get that refund back. Now in Vancouver, you've got the opportunity to, instead of taking back the cash when you bring back that bottle for exchange, you have the opportunity to deposit that value into the account of the poor around the world. We've created an opportunity for people in Canada to use their recycling to create recyclers around the world, where the value is used to educate and outfit recyclers globally. And so that your one bottle returned at home could perhaps increase the collection of thousands of bottles around the world. Or within Sao Paulo, or within congregation, working within churches, where parishioners are encouraged to not just bring an offering on Sunday, but to bring the recycling with them as well. We then match that congregation with the poor, putting the entire congregation in the service and stewardship over creation and the planet. Or another model is like within the slums of Manila, where using this banking application and a simple scale, even the smallest of grocery store, using the scale in the smartphone, can now accept social plastic by weight as a form of payment. So even the smallest grocery store can have an influence over their environment and also be a part of alleviating the poverty that they're experiencing. Or we also offer a plastic offset model, where corporations like Shell, the energy company, have invested in plastic offsetting. Well, plastic offsetting is kind of like carbon offset. But instead of investing in programs that extract carbon from the atmosphere, plastic offset extracts plastic from the environment. Where their investment in plastic offsetting creates recyclers and provides an incentive for the poor to collect and extract plastic from the ocean. And what's common in that conversation is social plastic. Now we've created a category, social plastic. It's not recycled plastic, it's not virgin plastic, it's social plastic. Social plastic is a material whose value is transferred through the lives of the people who encounter it, rich and poor. Social plastic. A globally recognizable and tradable currency that, when used, cleans the environment and ends poverty at the same time. Now, the plastic we collect, we sell, as I mentioned, we get it ready for export, and we sell it to companies like Marks & Spencer's, if you know that company. So Marks & Spencer's, they've mandated the use of social plastic in their manufacturing, so that all of their suppliers are now motivated to buy and use social plastic and put it in their packaging, so that anytime a consumer goes into Marks & Spencer's, they would as well be participating. Or like Henkel, if you know Henkel, the German consumer goods company, they're using social plastic directly into their manufacturing. So we've really closed the loop in the circular economy. So that when you buy a shampoo bottle or a laundry detergent bottle from Henkel, and you take that off the shelf, you would be directly participating in the extraction of plastic from the environment and alleviating poverty at the same time. We've created a conduit for the entire world to participate in the change that they want to see, because I have not yet met anyone that has not thought that there is a catastrophe unfolding in the ocean. You can't deny it. You see, I see social plastic used by weight really as the Bitcoin for the earth and available for everyone. Humanity has produced over 8 trillion kilo of plastic, almost all still here as waste. 8 trillion kilo. Roughly 50 US cents per kilo, roughly. We're unleashing a potential $4 trillion value. It's estimated, a high estimate, to alleviate all forms of poverty around the world is roughly 500 billion. Actually, the estimates are much lower. Alleviate all forms of extreme poverty. We could potentially be unleashing the very value needed to change the planet. The secure banking application ultimately provides for the safe, authentic transfer of value globally. So now, yeah, you can deposit your recycling in Vancouver, and a family can withdraw building bricks or cell phone minutes in the slums of Manila. Or like Lisa Nassis, she has the ability to deposit her plastic, her recycling, at a center in Port-au-Prince, and her mother could withdraw cooking fuel or cash across the city. A way to safely, authentically transfer that value person to person. It's a blockchain banking application developed by IBM, a great global partner. So, I think that with this conduit, with this opportunity, and I gave you some highlights, because I certainly want to be in the conversation, and I want to be in the questions, and I would like to be able to engage you in some of this. Now, I'm here for the questions, because every question for me helps elicit a different thought, a different way of thinking. And so in a few moments, I'm going to ask you to do that. But what I'm really enlivening here, and what I'm expressing with you, with this social plastic movement, this revolution towards using plastic as money, is that we all now have an opportunity to be a part of the solution and not the pollution. And I think that as we unleash this huge market value for the earth, that perhaps cleaning the ocean is futile. I think that there is a catastrophe that has unfolded. But I do think that preventing ocean-bound plastic can be one of humanity's richest opportunities. Thank you. Thank you, Sahil.
Thank you for your beautiful talk and very emotional talk. Very, very powerful. Did you say 8 trillion kilograms?
Yeah, it's estimated 8.3 trillion kilogram, and it's important to note that almost all of the plastic we've ever produced is still here. And I like this number as well. This is important. 8.3 trillion kilo. If we consider the average human is 62 kilograms, that means there's 129 billion people worth of plastic on the earth. 129 billion, the 7.5 billion humans, there's 129 billion people worth of plastic, and every day we continue making more, and the rate of plastic production is increasing. Ridiculous.
Where does it all go? I mean, we talked about the ocean, right? How much of it is the ocean? How much is it in landfills? How does the earth absorb?
It doesn't absorb it, and that's why we're seeing what we're seeing. 8, and I mentioned in those few minutes I had with you that there's 8. They're all estimates. 8 million ton of plastic estimated to flow into the ocean this year, last year, next year, and more. The rest of it's in the environment. Very little is recycled. Globally, single-digit recycling rates and less. So it's not being absorbed in the environment, and that's why we're seeing what's occurring today. That's why it takes a moment to go into any social media and see the bellies of birds and whales and animals that are dying just from encountering plastic.
And what portion, I know it's a large number, I forget now. How much of it is single use? Like, we're going to use this once, this bottle, and throw it away.
What a catastrophe that is. I want to remind everyone here that is there anyone here not passionate about the ocean? Is there anyone, honestly, is there anyone here that doesn't know that something has to occur? Has anyone sat back and said someone's got to do something about what is unfolding in the ocean?
I know a guy in the back, he hates the ocean.
But I don't think anyone here, I mean, most people, maybe one guy from Texas or something like that, but almost anyone that I've encountered has said someone's got to do something about it. I mean, there's a lot of wisdom in that conversation on its own. Someone has to do something about it, because I believe that what actually occurs is that we sit back and say, I want to do something about it, but then we become overwhelmed in the enormity of the task, and so we defer it to someone. We don't even know who. We just know not us. Someone needs to do something about it. And I want to remind everyone here that whatever you buy, you vote for. I brought my own water bottle. It was a shame I lost mine on the plane because I carry my own refillable one, but I don't vote for single-use material at all. Remember, what you buy, you vote for. Whatever you buy is what they're going to manufacture and continue to provide to you. And every time you take something that is single-use and disposable, that is what will continue to be provided. Be careful. You get to be the someone.
My question to you is this. So I love what you said in the beginning. Do you take the mop? Do you take the sponge or whatever? But actually, the first thing you do is turn off the tap. Turn off the tap. And I think this is a very powerful concept. How often can plastic be recycled? Is that really a solution? Is it turning off the tap, or is it using a mop while we try to turn off the tap?
So, is your question about the utility and purpose and gift that plastic is?
No, my question is, how valuable is recycling plastic? Because if we're recycling it once, we're just delaying the problem. Are we recycling it twice, 10 times?
Well, it can almost be infinitely recyclable. Without any additive, it can be recycled almost 7 times. So we all, ultimately with the 8 trillion kilo of plastic, if we just recycle whatever's on the planet now, we have, 56 trillion kilograms of available use without having to use any more petroleum and absolutely. And then that material certainly with additive and with additional processing can almost be used infinitely. To continue mining petroleum for the use of plastic production is ridiculous.
We are all here oil economies, right?
I got it.
I don't think you're ever going to get a visa again here, too. So, okay, walk us through how this works. Like, now you said, you mentioned some names. Do they go out on the beach and they collect the plastic? How does it work?
Yeah, we prevent it from going to the beach to begin with. So ultimately what we do is we help entrepreneurs. We give entrepreneurs. The world's poor are the most resourceful on the planet. They have to be, or else they die. They're incredibly creative, incredibly entrepreneurial, incredibly spirited. And what we provide the poor is an unlimited income opportunity. We give them entrepreneurship. Now you can go and get a job. Doesn't matter how hard you work, you'll always have a fixed income. Well, we take people who are resourceful and we give them an entrepreneurial experience that includes training on how to create route and create volumes, and how to multiply their efforts to work into other hotels or restaurants or other stores where they can have volumes of material. And they have truly an unlimited income opportunity. The more creative they get, the more volumes they can bring in, and the more life can change. Now, one of the experiences with Lisa Nassis I didn't mention is that she survived the 2010 earthquake in Haiti, the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. More than 250,000 people died within 3 minutes in that country. Abject poverty, extreme illiteracy, really no hope, almost 80% unemployment, 80% illiteracy in that country. And as a result of our program, Lisa can afford her 2 daughters' school tuition and uniforms, which is beyond the realm of most. We're incredibly proud of that. And I'm more so proud that there are 2 daughters that are going to school. And it was in those ideas and that programming with Lisa that we created collection locations at schools so that children have access to education through environmental stewardship. And so now with a simple scale at a school, children can collect the plastic that the family encounters, collect material on the way to school, and every day it can be weighed, and the value is attributed to their school tuition.
It's amazing. I'm going to open it up to the audience, and I'm quite sure we have some of these youngsters that have questions. Okay, there's more hands up than
Thank you.
Yeah, more than I can handle at the moment. We have one in the back over there. Yes, him, please. And I'm going to try and go left and right, guys. So if I miss you, forgive me. But I'll do my best to catch everybody. Yes, Habibi, and introduce yourself.
Yes, my name is Abdullah. I was just wondering because, a few weeks ago, Morocco banned plastic bags, as well as a few African countries that have enforced it very well, including Cameroon and Rwanda. So can such a model like Plastic Bank work in countries that have actually banned plastic bags altogether?
Yeah, plastic bags are one portion of the waste stream. I I've come to learn that many countries call the plastic bag their national flower because it blows in the wind and attaches itself to the branches of trees. That is a catastrophe on its own, as it is discarded loosely without value. Now, that material, traditionally low-density polyethylene, is of high value, and so we collect that material, and that we have a great customer for that material, so it's of high value. Don't believe that it's not. It is. The economies are such a bit of a challenge in globally, in the northern economies. But wherever there is material, and it's not just bags, of course, all rigids, all material types have a value. And so we flourish in all of those areas, and there is great opportunity in all areas with poverty to give all people a sense of dignity and humanity by participating. Now, I'm inspired by I5 was the name of the organization that is helping refugees. Was that it?
No, it
was 5. Forgive me.
5-1 left.
5-1. Thank you very much. And how true and how important to recognize that the average time in a refugee camp is 17 years. Now, I think some areas are figuring that out, but imagine the depravity of never being able to legally work, to always be displaced, to never have hope, and to be able to provide an entrepreneurial experience for refugees as well, to then participate in the care and stewardship of the country that is caring for them and housing them. This model should work anywhere.
Abdussalam had a question here. Can you raise your hand so the guys with the mics can see you? Raise your hand up, Abdussalam. Bufaris. We have here, please, in the front.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Sorry, yes. No, sorry, young man, we have the gentleman in the front, then you're next.
I was just wondering why you related all this to only the oceans. And plastic is harmful to the
It's
whole environment.
comprehensively
So why the ocean?
powerful. Yeah.
And my second question is, what is your biggest challenge as a bank? Is it to get the people to work or to start up in different countries?
Thank you. Why the ocean? Well, the origin of the idea came from my inspiration to steward the ocean. I grew up on an island. I grew up at the ocean's edge. And for the last few decades of my life, I've been watching the continuous degradation of the shore. That was the inspiration to what we do. I'm inspired by what is occurring in the middle of the ocean. And there's a cinematographer called Chris Jordan. He created a short clip called Midway. He's got a movie coming out now called Albatross, and he powerfully exhibited the starving full. These albatross chicks on Midway Island, 2,000 miles from land, so much plastic in the ocean that animals are dying en masse from the ingestion of it. That's what drove me. It turns out that the root cause issue ultimately is humanity and poverty. And it drove me to be with the poor and to work with the poor to solve those conditions. And every gram of plastic that we can keep in the economy, we serve the entire environment. The conversation is the ocean. It's important today for consumers. And that leads us to the second half of the question. We continue to engage brands around the world to be in the process of using social plastic, to have them purchase and use that material. We continue to grow. We are fully implemented in Haiti, a large chain there. We're in the slums of Manila. We've just opened in Sao Paulo. We are going into Bali. This will be our first entry into Indonesia. And we will be in Rio as well. So we continue to grow. We're collecting millions and millions of kilograms of material. We continue to grow locations, build out an application. We have to be a world-class sales organization selling into the world's largest organizations, which we do, while we continue to grow a workforce. The greatest challenges occur, and I was expressing this conversation before, was that I continue to need to become the person that can make the change. When I had the idea for the plastic bank and all of the overwhelm that came to me at that moment, and this goes back to the previous quick conversation when I expressed everyone says someone else should do something about it. Now, when I had the idea for the plastic bank, my first thought as well was someone should do something. Someone should do this idea. Because I didn't believe that it was me. as a gift, thankfully, I was able to also hear myself say, David, you don't need to be the person that can make this change. You only need to become the person that can make the change. And there's an incredible distinction in the two. I only needed to become that person. Becoming was a day-by-day slow process of learning and growth and challenge and encountering anything as the gift that it was. You don't need to be the person that can make change. You only need to authentically show up for the world and for humanity, for the society and for your children and for everyone else that watches you as the person who is in a continuous becoming. And in that itself lies the change that the world needs to see.
We have a question. We had someone in the back who already stood up briefly.
Firstly, I'd like to thank you for the amazing work that you're doing.
Thank you.
And according to you, when will plastic demand peak? And what is plastic demand increasing year on year in percentage terms? And the second question is, why have we been so slow to reacting to this when there's so much happening in the renewable energy space?
Okay, a lot of questions there. So hold on a second. First off,
According to you, when is it peak plastic going?
well, I'm not a plastics expert. Peak plastic frightens me. Peak plastic, when is there going to be peak plastic? I do not have an authentic answer for that. That is excellent. That might have been one of the reasons why I came here. I don't know when peak plastic is going to occur. I can tell you that the companies we work with, like the big energy producers, are in the process of building additional PET and other type facilities. So the production of plastic material continues to rise. And I don't see a peak to that occurring. I think that as we see a burgeoning middle class in India and other areas where we're having this new consumer growth occurring, we see that occurring as well. So I think that plastic production is continuing to rise. I don't know when it will be peak. Thank you. An excellent question. What was the other question was?
I can't remember, to be honest.
What was the other half of your question, please? Yeah, good question, isn't it? That is so powerful. Why are we being so slow to react? You know, one of the things that I've really been aware of is that most people think that this is something that has happened in the last few years. They think that this just unfolded. Now they can see in their Facebook feed, their LinkedIn feed, whatever, that now all of a sudden there's this groundswell, and they think that something just occurred where there's plastic in the ocean, where that is not the case. It's been an ongoing challenge since the inception of plastic. This is something that's been really more than 60 years of flow into the ocean. Important to note as well that at just under 50 myself, this is just something from our generation. This is still just brand new. And I think that we're slow to react because people weren't aware that it was something that they needed to react to. And I think that is becoming more mainstream and more relevant today. And because you're also passionate about this and you get it, so thank you for that. And I want to go back to remind you that whenever you buy something, you're voting, and you also have an opportunity to communicate with the brands that you're buying from to let them know that they should be using an ocean-bound material or a social plastic, preferably, and that you will buy the things that they use that help alleviate poverty and clean the environment. I think we're being slow because not enough people are asking for that change. It's occurring now. We see plastic straw bans occurring around the world. Miss May, Prime Minister in England, making this announcement where they want to propose a straw ban. We see that occurring. We see what is happening in Uganda. We see what's happening in other parts of Africa. Absolutely. It's coming. It's coming, and it needs to be faster, thank you. And please be a part, be vocal.
So I'm very proud to announce that my wife stopped buying plastic straws some years ago. We have metal straws that we reuse. My sister also has a restaurant where they use bamboo straws rather. Small things like that add up. You start small, and I think you grow. Can we have? I know there's some hands on this side. My apologies. I've got to go to this side first. If anyone has their hand up, put your hand up high so I can see you. The gentleman in the Ghatra and Igal, did you ask a question already? No, go ahead. Yes, please. I've got to give the opportunity non-repeats.
I just researched. There's an ISO certificate for plastic guideline for the recovery and recycling of plastic waste, which is ISO 15070. we can start by implementing or ensuring that mass manufacturers from governments, ensuring that those manufacturers implement or gain this certificate
Yes.
from manufacturers that have lots of plastic waste.
Yes.
Maybe that's a beginning point.
Yes, it's as well. Yes, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah, to create a system that allows for the ease of use of the material, for sure. Absolutely. And that is one of our challenges, back to your question, sir. We continue to be in this realm where we need to create a feedstock, readily available, consistent, high volume feedstock for manufacturing. That is a challenge on its own. Global logistics are a big challenge. Putting stuff in the containers, working with the poor is a challenge. It's difficult for me to answer any one, but we continue to make systematic the process for organizations to use it, including health certification and everything else. And every country seems to have its own levels of certification, and taking some material, returning it to food grade material. This is a global endeavor that requires everyone's help. You okay? Okay. No, you're not okay. We'll keep talking. So thank you for that. And maybe what we'll do is we'll go to the next question. In front of you, sir, was a woman that had her hand up.
First of all, I want to say thank you so much for being that one person who's making big change.
Thank you.
And I want to just invite everyone to have that intention, even if we seem like we're lazy or we can't do something. We can't start. I'm living in, with my family, and it's challenging to don't throw, it's like, don't throw plastic in the garbage. It has to be the recycle. It's like we're beginning to have this culture. We're beginning to have this recycle pans, and it makes me so happy. It makes me so happy that, we're having this conversation. So we can start with just having the intention, have that love for Earth, it's our home, it's our collective home.
It's one ocean.
I just wanted to say that, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, thank you. It encourages me. And if we take a look at the people who are being advocates and vocal, we can look at this younger generation that understands that what we've created as a society is not okay. That has to change. And by standing up and being vocal, you create the space for other people as well to be that. That is leadership. That is standing forward into humanity, into possibility, and inviting people into a new possibility. That is leadership. And it can be so simple, and it can start at home.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Any more questions? Show of hands. There's the lady over there. Have you already asked? Okay, that student, yes.
I just have a quick question. Did the Plastic Bank make any progress in solving this issue, like any statistics?
Statistics.
Yeah.
I can tell you that we've surpassed 200 million bottles collected. I can tell you that we affect around 11,000 collectors today. I can tell you that we're making profound change. Thank you.
The gentleman and then the lady. Or the lady. Is it the same question? Okay.
Yeah, so my name is Sarah. I'm from Isaac in Bahrain, and one of the things we promote is acting sustainably. Personally, I recycle, like everybody in my house recycles. And even when I go to conferences, I stay later to pick up all the bottles that people drink water, and then I recycle them. But the thing is like, I noticed in Bahrain, people do know about recycling. We do have recycling posts around the country, but people are like stubborn, and they're like, I don't want to change my lifestyle or take extra time in my day. How do you like convince people? Because it's not that they don't know, they know, it's just that they don't care.
You can't.
And they don't want to change their...
My answer is you can't. You cannot. Here's one of my favorite sales cliches. A man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still. You can't convince anyone to do anything. Not going to happen. Give it up. But you can show the authentic way of living, and you can invite those people. You can invite them and to be there. And that's a part of the Plastic Bank, and a part of what we've done is recognizing that for the poor, I can't go and tell you to recycle. That'll never happen. You should recycle. I mean, recycling, really, that's for other people. It's for another generation. It's for something else. And how many people have I spoken around the world, and people say, you should just tell the poor that they should recycle. Are you kidding? They don't have a floor.
Of course they're not going to, which is where we provide the human incentive. There really is at the root of what we do is this way to have people have a different paradigm. Because it's not recycling. Now it's alleviating the confines of my poverty. Now it's alleviating the unnecessary sickness that my children may be encountering. So you can't, is my answer. But you can live authentically to exhibit what it should be, and that's powerful on its own. Yes?
This is the last question, please.
Well, that's an excellent question.
Of course we are.
Thank you for the question. Thank you very, very much, everyone. I'm going to be here for the rest of the day as well, and I invite conversation and dialogue. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse me for my coughing fit. I'm suffering from a cold, and as I'm walking, everyone's saying, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "No, I'm not okay.
No, I'm dying."
Not, but I'll do my best. It's wonderful what you're doing. I'm very proud of you.
Thank you very
much. Thank you so much for honoring us here in Bahrain.
It's my pleasure to be here.
It's a real honor to have you. We have a small token for you.
Oh, thank
David.
you.